G'day, Nige. How you going? Thanks for being
Great.
on the Ponytail show.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're coming back on because you want to talk about victory over Japan Day, which just came by just this past weekend. You're
Yes.
telling me all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about victory over Japan Day.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know about it, I think. I mean, I say a lot of people. I mean, obviously there's a lot do and there's a lot don't. Actually, the World War actually carried on for an extra year in the Far East. And in fact, the Japanese were also fighting the Chinese. So you had a situation where the World War really started in 1937, with the Japanese still fighting the Chinese, and it went on to 1946. So it was, it was a longer war, and my father was involved in this World War from being a very young man, and I've got his handbook here with a fantastic picture of him, probably about 1943 or 42, because he had to go to India first. So he was actually based in India, went on a really giant ship, and on
Did
that
he
giant
happen to be based in Ceylon? Was it Ceylon that he was based in India?
I'm not sure. I know that he was. I've got some places where he was, so I'll be able to tell you those names, and then maybe we can check them out later. But I reckon my dad was about 22 or 23 in 1942. He'd gone off to India. Obviously, all the troops went to India to be actually trained and know how to work in the jungle, because the Burma jungles were horrendous, and many people would die of malaria, dysentery. I mean, the terrible conditions. So my dad had a really rough time, and to be honest, my dad died when he was 60. So he didn't really survive. He survived only till 1980. After coming home in 1946. So, but he was pretty well unwell all the time I knew him through the 50s, 60s and 70s. He used to go yellow, so the malaria always used to come back to him. So this is a picture of my dad wearing a bush hat, smoking a pipe, and I would think this is a 42 or 43 picture. Can you see it all right?
Yes, I can see it great. It's for folks who are listening. We've got this really dashing young man smoking a pipe in the photo. It looks like quite an old photo, and he's wearing what do you call that hat that he's wearing?
Well,
a bush
it's like
hat.
a bush
It looks
hat.
like a bush hat to
This
me.
is jungle hat, really.
Yeah.
That's the British wore that.
Yeah, and this is like from a diary that you've. Is that your dad's diary, or is that something
This is my dad's diary. Now, what I don't understand, because you see, my father didn't tell me very much.
Right.
Okay, so he came out in 1946, and I don't remember this book appearing until probably the 1970s. So this was pushed away somewhere. So my mother used to tell me that when he came out in 1946, he was like 6'2", about 7.5 stone, super skinny.
That's really skinny.
Apparently he'd been in a prisoner of war camp. That's why I wanted to go with you to the Burma Railway. So my Uncle Pete told me that he also went to a prisoner of war camp, but even my mother didn't know that, and I didn't know, and neither did my brother.
He might not have wanted to talk about it. That was called the Death Railway, by the way.
That's right. You've been there, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been there.
And I was actually a bit shocked when you told me that you live only 200 miles away from the railway.
I live, so for those who don't know, the Death Railway went from Rangoon, which is now called Yangon, which is the capital city of Myanmar, all the way to Bangkok, which was back in the day Siam, and So from my house, if you drive 2 hours northwest, you get to a place called Kanchanaburi, which is where they filmed the bridge over River Kwai. And that River Kwai, and that River Kwai is basically a big section that crosses the Death Railway crosses the river, and that's where they filmed that really famous film.
Yeah,
and
I've seen that film many times.
Yeah, so I'll take you there, and at that place there's a memorial where they've got a big memorial graveyard where about 6,000 or so prisoners of war are actually buried there. And they've got an actual museum all about the Death Railway, where, most of the prisoners of war were forced to work on the railway.
Yes.
Yeah, and quite, which was actually, I think, against the Geneva Convention back then. You weren't supposed to force labour upon your prisoners of war.
No.
But, yeah, that's how that huge railway was built. So it's quite like incredible. And if you keep driving further north, you reach a national park, and then that's the border between Thailand and Myanmar. So that's where... Yeah, that's actually where I shot my Spring 21 campaign that I showed you some photos of. We trekked up there and it was pissing down with rain.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that you'd taken some pictures in Nepal as well.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And you notice, guys, that I've got this badge that Ponytail bought me, which has come from Nepal. So
Gurkha badge.
How far is Nepal from where you live then?
That one we flew, it was about a 3 or 4 hour flight, not far.
And you went with the owner of Visvim, didn't you? And
I went with the owner of Capital, Kiro, and his team.
Sorry,
Eric Kovatek, my buddy. Yeah, that was amazing. Like, that's another place we'll have to go. I'll have to take you to see. I
want to go there particularly, but I've got this thing in my mind, because you and I were going to go last year when I was 17, 30, and we never got to go, did we?
We're definitely going to make the effort now after all this craziness. So tell me, I know you've been really, quite passionate about your dad's time in Burma, and it's influenced a lot of your pieces as well, like the Bombay Bloomers and stuff. You actually put together a book about it, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I mean, my father, you see, the funny thing about my dad was, and the situation was in the 1950s after the war, a lot of British people, just as the Japanese did, they wore their Second World War clothes. The Japanese in particular were extremely poor, and they would wear all of their clothes after the war, and that's why there's not a lot of Japanese vintage out there. But the British, my father used to wear it for gardening, and he always used to wear Bombay Bloomers and a proper military shirt. So in a way, I was indoctrinated with my dad. He had two burnets with a piece of string along for potatoes, and he used to be in his Bombay Bloomers with a bush shirt, and he looked like something out of A Town Like Alice, So this is the little book that I did on India and Burma, and I did this little book based on him in 2010, which is 10 years ago. And he's on this book here now. He's the tallest, obviously, 6'2", with all the Indian forces. He absolutely loved India, and he wanted to go back to India, but he died on his 60th birthday or 60th week, and he retired that week as well. And he worked in the post office, and they gave him a watch, and that was his lot. And this is him second in, wearing the Bombay Bloomers and bush shirt.
For folks who are listening, we're looking at a black and white photo. It looks like it's in India, and there's men lined up. They're all wearing Bombay bloomers. They're all in their military gear, and it looks like, quite tropical weather. And that's him with his bush hat. And
that's him with a bush hat.
Yeah.
He was very tall, and he was a great dad, very affectionate dad. He was an amazing father, and he taught me how to play ping pong. So I suppose everyone can see my world-class ping pong table. Well, I learned this from him. About 1955, I started playing ping pong on the kitchen table. I've got my own ping pong table, still playing from when I was a child, and doing a collaboration with Fred Perry. And Fred Perry and Butterfly sponsored me, and Butterfly actually made my own black table with my own Butterfly and Nigel Cabourn graphics.
Right.
So it's a piece.
So
and we play lots of pong here.
Yeah, we're looking at Nigel. So I'm just describing for people listening. We're looking at Nigel's studio. It's full of vintage all around the edges of the studio. But in the middle, we've got a huge ping pong table that he just described, was made with the Fred Perry team. And you guys play ping pong all the time at work, don't you? It's such a good vibe.
We've had a bit of a lapse, obviously, we're locked down. We've had this, we've been out of the office for 4 months. So at one stage we were playing every day. But we've got so busy the last 12 months before that the ping pong became a bit less important because we had so much on.
Well, you guys, you still are doing so many collaborations on top of all the collections you're putting out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. We were doing, up until recently, we were doing 6 collaborations. So, and we're doing one with Vans, which I'm really over the moon about. So we launched Vans in winter 21. We've been doing one with Closed, German company. We do Timex. We're doing Haglofs, which is a ski company, and we're just about to start with Umbro, which is a football brand. And I know that's personally a very good one for Kyle, my right-hand man. We both love soccer, so Umbro would be a great collaboration for us.
Absolutely, yeah. I know you guys love watching football.
Yeah.
So, are you allowed to tell us a little bit about what the Vans collaboration's going to be like?
Yeah, sure. Vans is going to come out for winter 21. It's going to be 8 sneakers. We're actually doing 12 pieces of clothing as well. So it's going to be for Vans Vaults, and it's going to be clothing and sneakers. I've got my own sneaker. I found a vintage sneaker in Japan on my last trip, or trip before last, and Vans have made that my own Cabourn Vans sneaker, and it's really based on the United States Marine Corps. It's got a very much a military feel. It's about the soldiers in World War II that customised their clothing, because all soldiers often used to put special little things on the clothes, or they got it ripped and they have to get it done at a local tailor's, get it stitched up. So we've copied that onto the shoes, and we've ended up with custom-made Vans. So it's looked really interesting. So I'm looking forward to launching that.
Yeah.
I went out to Vans last December, which isn't so long ago, 6 months ago. Went to their offices, and they were great.
When you went to LA? Was that over there?
Yeah, when I went with Emily to LA, I went to LA really to sign that deal. So it's really exciting. So we're making it unisex. So it's men's and women's, and we're going to start from a size 3.5, probably up to about a size 13. So it should be great.
Yeah.
So that's a new one. And then the Umbro is just coming up again for winter 21. That's going to be based on the World Cup of rugby, and we're going to do it in winter 21. We're going to use the roots of rugby. So that's quite exciting. We've got some interesting pictures where we think that Umbro were involved in making the rugby shirts in 1948 Olympics. And we think that they were making the rugby shirts for the RAF, because the RAF were competing, we think, in the Olympics. And I've got a full tracksuit here with an RAF badge on the tracksuit. And it's got a rugby ball on the RAF badge, which looks great. And that's maybe the theme we're going to use for Winter 21.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And like probably really colourful.
Yes, yeah. And basically, I've always loved rugby stuff. I mean, I've got roots in working with Buckter. And Buckter, I used Buckter as an old manufacturer who started making rugby shirts and rugby shorts. It may well be that Buckter is older than Umbro, I'm not sure. But I actually went to the Buckter factory about 42 years ago and saw it all being made. You see these wooden floors that I've got here? Well, I saw it 42 years ago with machines that went where the fabric was made circular, and it was all wired up to the ceiling with all the threads, and they were the machine was actually bolted onto the floor, and all the rugby fabric was coming all off circular like this. I always remember it, you know.
Yeah, those beautiful old circular knitting machines are hard to come by nowadays.
Oh, now really impossible. Yeah, very few people have them.
That place that you put me onto, the Toki Sen guys in Wakayama. Yeah, they make beautiful circular knits.
Yeah, I think they're number one in the whole world.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to Japan, as you know, 4 times a year. I look at Toki Sen jersey 4 times a year. I mean, very inspiring. And all of the sweat that we make in Japan, we use Toki Sen fabric. We don't use it in Europe. It's too expensive to import. But all of our mainline jersey package is using all their fabrics. They're so creative. They are the best.
Yeah, they really are. Can you show me some vintage pieces that you're really excited about in the studio? You're talking about Bombay, your dad's Bombay bloomers working in the garden. Do you have a pair to show us?
You know, I should have brought my own snow ones, because I've got a really long one. I'm going to have to ask Kyle a minute. Kyle, do you remember? I've got one particular Bombay bloomer that's incredibly long. It's must be about 6 foot long, this Bombay bloomer.
I mean, pulling all this out.
I think, I think they might be hanging, aren't they? Bombay bloomers. I'll come back to a Bombay bloomer.
All right.
I particularly want to just show you a Bombay bloomer, but I mean, the thing is, you can cut this film at present, can't you?
Sure.
So, yeah. So I'll show you the pieces. Okay. So this book is 2010. Okay. There's the original picture of my dad.
Just hold it up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Okay. This is the actual cover to the book.
So that's the book. The cover is a map of India and Burma.
And can you believe it? I used to have a fantastic young Chinese student working. I used to meet Beth now. She was a young person who could draw very well, and that was why I brought her in. And she drew this all by hand.
Wow.
You see, Beth, that was what the student did. She did all by hand.
Beautiful.
And it was done. It's called Burma by Nigel K. What's called India, Burma, and Ceylon. Now, you said, where is Ceylon? Did you say again? Ceylon Ceylon is another country now, isn't it?
I think it's in India.
Is Ceylon still called Ceylon?
No, I don't think so. Let me look it up.
Yeah,
so we can know.
I don't think it is. It's changed its name. Ceylon's not Bangkok, is it?
Sorry, it's Sri Lanka. British.
Sri Lanka.
Ceylon is
Sri Lanka.
present-day Sri Lanka.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So you can see what she did. So she was only a kid. She was really nice. And she worked for me for about a year. Okay?
That's the great thing. Like, I want to explain to people a bit about how you are. Like, you're traveling all the time and you're meeting people, and also the people involved in the business are so important because they all, have special, like, talents and they all have different things that they can bring, like this, like, the girl who drew that beautiful map and, and like, Kyle, who's been with you for ages, he's,
Kyle's been with me 13 years, I think.
Yeah, crikey. Kyle, getting on.
Yeah, I don't know how old Kyle is now. Got lost track. How old are you, Kyle? 30. He's only 33.
He's only 33.
He's a baby. Okay, you're only 30. You're 31 in October, aren't you?
Yep. 31.
Yeah. You're a real old hand. So she was called Coco Chen, okay? She was a young student, about the same age as Beth, are you 20, Beth?
Yeah.
Yeah, same age as Beth, 20. And she drew beautifully. So this is one of her drawings. She drew my father in the bush.
Right, so this is inside the book. We've got an illustration in kind of cyanotype of, it looks like a scene, a landscape with soldiers in the landscape.
Yes, it is. It's sort of, there's a vehicle behind it, and I'm not sure if it's in India or Burma. I would suspect that my dad was training at this stage in India, okay?
Right. It's beautiful. I like how it's all on grid paper.
Yeah.
It looks like a real notebook.
She was great, actually. And this book has all her drawings. So this is the big picture of my dad. So my dad is second in here. So this is a big picture.
Oh, that's
now,
great.
This is where my dad's wearing the military shirt, Bombay Bloomers. Okay.
Great. Yeah.
It's
so
great.
That's a big spread of the same photo from before.
That's right. That's right.
Nigel's dad standing with, are they Gurkha soldiers?
I think they are Gurkhas. My father used to, oh bloody hell, I've got such a great pair to show you in a minute.
Oh, nice.
I'm so excited about this one. Fucking hell, that shirt. I'm going to be wearing that tonight. Truth is, I've got nowhere to go. I'm on lockdown. So the thing is...
they would have been, those bush shirts, they would have been AirTex. I know that because I've been doing a bit of research on AirTex right now.
Kyle's brought the three main pieces. Good find, Kyle.
Great.
So
thanks,
basically... Kyle. These are Gurkhas, some of them, and Chindits. Okay, so
yes.
it's two tribes. Okay.
So Chindits, I found out, because today I did a bit of research, a bit of homework. So the Chindits were the British, the Gurkhas, trained forces who were in Burma, specifically in Burma, between 1943 and 1944. And the word Chindit... The word Chindit came from, in Burma, in front of everybody's house, they have two little lions sitting on the doorstep, and that was a Chindit. So they got the name from that. Yeah. Little guardians.
I won't expect anything else from you, okay? So my father used to talk a lot about the Gurkhas and the Chindits, okay? And the Gurkhas, of course, have the knife, of which you very kindly bought me the... Oh, no, I haven't got the hat on. Sorry, got the wrong hat on.
But the Gurkha badge I got you was like...
Gurkha badge with the knife on, yeah.
Yeah, two crossing knives.
Yeah. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I suspect that they are Gurkhas and Chindits, okay?
Mm.
But
Great
I can't
picture.
ask my dad, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lovely picture.
Yeah.
I love this picture, okay?
It's a beautiful picture.
And that was taken on his box brownie camera, about 1944 or 43. He used to have a box camera, Brownie. I've actually got it.
Wow,
Okay.
That's great.
So I can show you his box Brownie camera. Do you want me to go and get it?
Yeah.
I'll go and get it. Take me 2 seconds. Yeah.
Sorry for making all the noise, guys.
Sorry, Ponytail.
Got a live audience, you guys.
No, we're listening.
Okay, so this is my dad's box Brownie. Okay, here's the cover. Okay,
So we're looking at a leather brown cover. It looks really worn, and an old box Brownie viewfinder camera that, you know, they're big for. I know some people don't even know what about box Brownie was, but they're like, you know, 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter kind of boxes, black boxes, and you used to look down into them to take a photo.
Yeah, to be honest, my father, when we used to go on holiday in the 50s, he used to have this with him all the time. So I sort of remember this. I mean, what's lovely is I'm actually holding his camera now.
That's so nice.
Well, that's fucking good, you know.
Yeah.
She hold the camera that my dad did. And I don't know how my father got away with this, because you wouldn't have been allowed to carry a camera around with you taking photographs in the war. So I don't know how he did it. And it may well be that this camera isn't the camera. I don't know. This might be the camera that he used after the war,
right,
which he took of us as kids in the 50s. Okay?
Okay.
But so if anybody picks up on me, there's a good chance that this wasn't the camera, but it's the camera that took all the pictures in the 1950s.
That's the thing nowadays. People pull you up on everything.
You know?
Rascals.
So hey, here I am. Okay.
This is me.
Anyway, so I've got the Bombay Bloomer now. Now I can't believe these. When you see these, you'll die. Look at the length of these.
Oh.
Look at them.
Jeez.
Now, my dad was very tall, 6'2". Okay. So you get some proportion of this on me, okay? And I wear these all the time. If anybody checks my Instagram, they'll see that I'm wearing these Bombay Bloomers, and they're very long, but these are even longer.
These are super long. So these are khaki color Bombay Bloomers. They're shorts, but this pair are super huge. They go right down below your knees, Nige. And they've got a double buckle.
It's hard to tell whether they're long shortens or short longens. Okay? I can't make my mind up. Okay?
I reckon they're long shortens.
I think they're long shortens. I think they've been long and shortened. That's what I think. So, and it's got the buckles on, and it's got the bandage pocket. My staff think this is for a mobile phone. But I keep reminding them, mobile phone wasn't invented. It's for bandages. So if you got a shot in the leg, that was for your bandage. Because a lot of people don't realise what that pocket's for. Okay?
Okay.
And I love these because they've still got blood on them. Well, I don't love them because of the blood, but I love them because they're authentic. Look at them. Still got blood on, never been bloody washed.
Wow.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I see that. So there's a spot of blood on the back of the
and on the front.
Bloomers, and on the front. Oh yeah, all through.
Yeah.
Where do you find those, Nige?
Well, not sure, because I've got about 20 pairs of Bombay Bloomers, but this is the longest, and it's a really good detail. It's got, it's got the fine double, the double here, and a little bit of history about the Bombay Bloomer. Lord Montgomery wore a Bombay Bloomer. He wore it in the desert, fighting the African Corps in World War II. So Lord Montgomery always wore them. And also, they were worn all through India and Africa. by the soldiers, and it's such a famous piece of kit. And you very kindly gave me, when I came to see you in Paris, you remember you gave me an army green bomber. It was actually Australian World War II. And I wear them all the time. Love them.
Oh, cool.
It's got the little bandage pocket on the back here, which is great for my mobile phone. Those are a size 42 waist you gave me. And I pull them in, and they're so baggy. I love them.
Yeah, I loved how big they were.
I'm surprised you gave those to me. Were they too big for you?
Well, definitely too big for me. But I got another pair. I got another pair of the same kind. I got another pair that fit me, so I thought I'd give you the ones that fit you.
Thank you much. I appreciate that. Wait, did you get them in Australia? Did you?
Yeah. It's really hard to. It's actually really hard to find Australian military gear, because apparently someone told me that like people keep it in the family, and like you're not actually allowed to sell like dead stock Australian military stuff. But there are a couple of dealers in Sydney that I've seen. They sell like 70s kind of Vietnam era. But it's really hard to find like World War II stuff.
I remember you telling me that. When I was in Australia last year with Emily, we went to try and find quite a lot of vintage. We struggled to find any vintage stores at all. I was quite shocked.
Yeah.
And it came across, people told me that it wasn't readily available. People, didn't sell it because even the government don't like you doing it. So the Australian government are against it. And Emily and I went to the Canberra War Museum. Do you remember I told you?
Yeah, the Australian War Memorial.
Yeah, the War Memorial Museum. And Emily and I went a whole day. We flew from Melbourne, especially up early in the morning. And we war museum I've ever been to in the world. If anybody wants to go to a war museum, that is the best of the lot.
Yeah, their archives are incredible. That war.
Have you been to it?
Yeah, I have, and I've looked through their archives. Everything's perfectly archived, and they have a huge database of things you can look up what you want to find. You know that shearling vest, the sheepskin vest that I did with the ties on front. Yeah,
the one that you made in Scotland.
Yeah, that's one that I saw the original piece made by the Australian Women's Association for the World War II soldiers from the Australian War Memorial Archives. Yeah.
Fantastic. When did you go? I didn't know you'd been to it, actually.
Well, I've been to it since I was, I grew up in Australia, so I've been there since I was a young person, but I went there probably 4 years ago on another trip. Yeah, really awesome.
And you use that as inspiration for your own woman's brand?
Yeah, I do.
Brilliant.
Depends on so now for Spring 21 I'm doing the concept on Borneo. So the British were fighting in Borneo actually, so a lot of my pieces are like Australian bush shirts, bush hats, a lot of air techs, looking into air techs. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's amazing how you and I work from exactly the same concept. I mean, you and I have spent a lot of quality time together, travel around the world together. I mean, we spent 17 days once in Japan together, didn't we?
Yeah.
And started at 6 a.m. training with the medicine balls, and
I was so exhausted.
Yeah, so was I. Still am. And went from that to visiting all the best vintage stores, didn't we? And we first met, you and I, in London. You came to interview me at the Army Gym store in London about 6 years ago. Yeah. And we've been best of buddies since, haven't we?
Yeah. We've done so much stuff together. But Yeah, like we'll do more. I'm looking forward to our trip to Burma, to the River Kwai.
Fantastic.
I'm going to spend my spare time now, like, just looking at... I'll be the tour guide. I'll put together the best itinerary.
And Eric will come as well, won't he?
Yeah, for sure. He said he was down since last year, so, yeah.
You should tell people about Eric, because he's fantastic.
Yeah, Eric's probably one of my favourite photographers in the world. So I've been looking at his work since I was in university. And he shoots all the Capital lookbooks. He's been on this podcast a couple of times already, so people can listen to his podcast. But yeah, like what's special about Eric is his perspective. He has a very clear point of view, and he knows exactly what he wants to show. He, like people with their own business, or people who are just really carved out a niche for themselves, is because they have a really unique perspective. They don't look at other people's stuff and try to copy other people's stuff or whatever. He just knows exactly what he wants to do. So yeah.
And you travelled to Everest with him to do the photographs for Capital, didn't you?
Yeah. And we went this year. We went to the Golden Triangle, which is the border of Laos, Burma, and Thailand. We shot our lookbook there with Eric in the Golden Triangle. That's for Winter 20, so all the photos are going to come out soon. Well, thanks, Nige. This is a great conversation. Thanks for sharing all about VJ Day, about Burma, about the Gurkhas and the Bombay Bloomers and everything. It was really fun.
Okay.
And thanks to Kyle for pulling out all the pieces.
Okay. Well, just before you go, I'm going to show you. I'll show you this jacket as well.
Oh,
okay?
Beautiful.
So this is again, I reproduced something like this in 2010. Okay.
So what we're looking at is looks like a Gurkha jacket. What exactly are we looking at?
It's a bush jacket, officer's bush jacket. It's a sergeant. Beautifully made. I love this piece. I mean, it's probably worth a lot of money. I've probably paid, I don't know, €1,000 for this. It's in really good condition. And also, I've got the bush shirt, like what my father always wore. Okay, this is your bush shirt. Always in khaki, British khaki.
So that's a khaki shirt, button-down shirt with 2 work pockets on the front.
Yeah.
With a kind of hexagonal, what do you call it? The edges are kind of not quite square, and it's really big size too. This
would be great on you. You turn that into a dress.
Yeah, that would be fun. And really pointy collar. All right. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
So want to be ya. See ya. Bye-bye. Take care, eh?